What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Sharpe. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now back to Undisputed.
Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning over there.
Good morning. Good morning.
Wait a minute. There's trouble in paradise.
Ain't no trouble.
I don't know. The weather's beautiful out here in L.A. I know not in the rest of the country. That's unless you're in Laker Nation. It's not so beautiful. It's raining.
When you got Moses,
right?
Moses, he'll lead you to the promised land.
Really?
Oh, yes.
I'm not sure Moses can get up that mountain anymore.
Oh, he gone.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. He don't receive the word.
Yeah.
Okay, Skip, you bring up something interesting about L.A., about the Lakers. We do have some news there, and that is where we begin the show, because the Lakers are expected to be without Anthony Davis until at least the All-Star break in early March. After suffering a calf strain, AD will reportedly be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks, but there is not a set timetable on his return. So, Shannon, how much pressure is on LeBron right now?
I mean, there's a lot of pressure on him, and LeBron understands that. He's at the forefront of the MVP conversation, and if he is what many believes he is, the MVP frontrunner right now, he should keep them in contention. Even though the West is crowded, it's very good. Utah is better than people thought. The Clippers won a game last night without their two best players, and they look against a team that went to the NBA Finals last year.
By the way, without 4 starters.
They look good last night. Ty Lue has them playing extremely well.
He does.
Denver is to be reckoned with.
Yep.
Portland is to be reckoned with. So LeBron James is going to have to be on top of his game, as I expect him to be on top of his game. But, Skip, you don't have a choice. And I think what we saw from 2 years ago is that AD is looking at Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant had a calf strain, Skip, that couldn't bother him. He missed 5 games. He come back. He missed a couple of games and come back, and then we know how that ended. And I said yesterday, Skip, I thought they should keep him out for a minimum of 2 weeks. That would take him up to the All-Star game. We reevaluate you after that. Because this is an injury, Skip. You better make sure he's 100%. Because if you don't, it's going to keep flaring up. And the one thing you don't want it to do, forget rupture. Obviously, you don't want to have a rupture, but you don't want it to flare up come playoff time, because I don't believe they can get all the way home without AD being 100% come playoff time. So LeBron is going to have to be LeBron. Skip, remember now, they had to go to overtime twice against OKC without AD. He played, 43 minutes, 41 minutes? So we see where this is headed. Kuzma says, I just need an opportunity. You're going to get it. AD is not coming back for the foreseeable future, at the bare minimum 3 to 4 weeks. This is your opportunity, to show what you're capable of. You say, I can do it. I know I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. You're not going to have anybody looking over your shoulder. Go play the way you played the last 5 games. Other guys are going to have to step up their play. Marc Gasol, you're going to have to be better than what you've been through 28 games of this season. You're going to have to be better. I don't know.
Not sure he's capable.
But he's going to have to. He's going to have to summon something up. And the other guys are going to have to play their part. They're going to have to play extremely well. But I expect LeBron to be LeBron, to stay at the forefront of the MVP discussion, because this is your opportunity, Skip. He could actually win it over the next month if he plays the way I think he can play and keep the Lakers where they are.
Okay, before I get to your man, LeBron James, I want to echo your sentiments about Anthony Davis in ominous tones. I want to echo, because this concerned me to the point of got a little creepy, because it started to smack of Kevin Durant. Wait a second. Now you're changing your diagnosis, your prognosis to the dreaded calf strain.
Right.
That's all we heard. Going back 2 finals ago with Kevin Durant. Oh, he's got a calf strain. Well, does it involve the Achilles? Nobody knows for sure.
Right.
And then he tries to push it back and boom, it's
we
gone.
saw what happened, right.
Okay, so it wasn't Achilles. First it was tendonitis, then it went to tendinosis, which is more of a degeneration of maybe the Achilles tendon. And all of a sudden, then we switch it around to calf strain. Don't love it. Don't love it for you, for LeBron, for the team going forward. I think you better be way safer than sorrier on this one. You better hold off.
Right.
You better at least go through the All-Star break and then check signals, and then you might want to go a little longer just to make sure he's 100%. He thought he was 100% going into this game two nights ago. Right?
And that's the thing, Skip. When you miss a couple of games, it calms down. And you're like, man, this thing feels good. And guess what happens? Just a slight push in the wrong direction, and boom.
Okay. Now, back to LeBron James. The MVP frontrunner, according to just about all of the known world except for me. I told you a year ago, I thought he flat out won the MVP as we hit the pandemic. I thought it was over and done. He should have received it over Giannis last year. This year, I cannot see it. But now, I will give you this. The heavens just opened for your man, LeBron James, and he got a golden opportunity without Anthony Davis. They have a tough stretch of games coming up in which he can rise and shine and really help his GOAT case a lot if he could pull away, solidify and cement his case for MVP by carrying this team without Anthony Davis.
Yes.
This is his moment to say, watch this. And in a shortened season, he could gain so much momentum through this period going into the All-Star break that he could flat out run away with it and hide with it.
Yes.
And if he could win an MVP, 18th season at, what is he, 36? If you could do that, you'd obviously be the oldest ever.
Yes.
That would be feather in cap.
Yes.
That would be one where you could say, well, look what he did there.
Right.
No one in the history of this league has ever played better later than LeBron, especially if he could pull off winning the MVP.
Correct.
Okay, so here we go. Stage is yours. Spotlight on you. Show us. I'm going to reiterate my stance on him so far. He is second in the league in turnovers, which I do not love. I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world, but he's second in turnovers. I do not love the fact that after all this hoopla, hypla, all this hysteria about LeBron James has turned into a three-point marksman. No, he has not. He's reverting to the mean. He's starting to fall back toward his 34% career three-point shooting.
I don't believe he'll shoot that this year.
Okay, I know you don't, but through February, once we hit the month of Valentine's, he did not steal your heart away from the three-point line because he kept firing at a record pace for him in his career. He's jacking up 7 a game. It's a lot. You need to make more than he's made over the last 7 games in the month of February because he's shooting 28% in the month of February. He's 13 of 46. If we just do February, he ranks 170th in the league, 170 in the league in three-point shooting. If we do just overall, he's fallen now to 38%. We have a little side bet on 38 or better, right?
He'll be 40 plus tonight.
Okay, we'll see about that. And he better be. He better be. Because right now, overall for this season, he ranks 90th in the NBA in three-point shooting because this league can shoot threes now.
Yeah. Everybody can shoot.
Hey, everybody can shoot threes. I used to think 38% was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just mediocre right now.
I think the thing what's helping, Skip, is that we have a bubble syndrome in their own gym.
Okay.
Because there are no fans, there's no screaming, there's no anything going on. Guys have gotten comfortable. We've seen, Skip, guys are shooting 50, 60% from the three-point line.
Okay.
That's unheard of.
Okay. We're about to talk about the Utah Jazz. They are right now living and dying on the three, except they're only living.
They ain't no dying.
All right. I'm going to throw this out again. This is what cannot happen right now over this stretch to the All-Star break. There was a stretch of games from January 7th, which was a home loss to the Spurs, all the way through January 18th, which was another home loss for the Lakers to Golden State, in which LeBron in fourth quarters and overtime went 5 of 24. That just won't work. You can't do that anymore. He was 2 of 12 from 3 in fourth quarters and overtimes over that stretch. Will not work. Got to be better. going to have to get this team home night after night. And you know and I know, as you pointed out with the 2 overtimes against Oklahoma City, they're going to play a bunch of close games. They just are.
Right.
Because they still have a pretty good team without AD, with LeBron leading it, obviously. Good enough to obviously compete, stay in all these games. I'm about to just whip through all the games they're about to face. They have one tonight at Minnesota, which is by far the easiest game on the schedule, except Minnesota just won at Toronto. Don't underestimate that. They're not a pushover. They're not a walkover. They're not a cakewalk.
They got Cat back now.
They
so
do.
who are you going to deal with Cat?
Okay, and that's going to be a problem for you unless you fix it at the trade deadline. But the trade deadline is pushed so far back this year, it's at the end of March. Okay, so it's not going to happen before tonight's game. So your man, the glacial Gasol up in the frozen tundra of Minnesota tonight, he is going to have to play bigger than he has been playing, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's...
How about faster? He don't need to be bigger. He just needs to be faster.
But that should be a big dub. Then come the Nets on Thursday night. I don't know if Kevin Durant's going to play or not. But listen, Kyrie and James Harden last night put on a show of shows at Sacramento, a team that can be dangerous, home or away. They're just dangerous because they got a lot of young talent. And Kyrie said no. And the Nets said no.
Skip, you let them shoot 27 threes,
Hey,
you can lose it every game.
They made 27, which, by the way, is their franchise record.
They couldn't miss.
And Kyrie made 9 threes. What? 9 of 11?
And then James says, okay, well, watch this.
Yeah, watch this. Watch, I'll make 6 of 10, and then I'll get, what was the rest of it? 14 and 13?
Yeah.
What? Okay, that's firepower. So even if it's just those two without Kevin Durant, they got firepower. So it's going to be a battle with or without KD. But you know KD would love to play, and maybe they circle that game as his next return. He's been returning all year long. Okay, then they got Miami at home. Miami is struggling. You should win that game because the Clippers beat them without 4 starters last night. But the Clippers, I believe, are the deepest team in the NBA. I don't know how that's going to translate into down the stretch because you got to figure out how to play all those players once you get your 2 stars back and your other 2 starters and Pat Bev and Batum back. But the point is, Miami is vulnerable right now, but they're also whole except for Dragic. They're tough.
Right.
Jimmy Butler had a huge... Jimmy Butler last night went 30, 10, and 10, and they lost.
Right. Okay? Tyler Hero had 27. Bam had 27.
Off the bench, he had 27. My God. Okay, then here comes Washington. You got a home game against Washington, but they have won 2 straight and 3 out of 5. They're starting to click a little bit.
Bradley Beal's going to get 40.
He's just going to get it.
Yeah, so don't even worry about him.
And Russ has taken the back seat and the sort of the 1A role to him, and they're starting to roll. And then guess where you have to go? To at Utah. Utah is 23-5, and enough said. And they're 13-2 at home. Be careful. That's one where LeBron's going to have to play huge for them to survive that game, right? Then you got Portland at home. Portland is a surprise in the West to me because they don't have CJ. And they're 16-10 sitting in the 5th seed. Okay?
And they have already beaten you.
They've already beaten you. Then here comes Golden State. They sink or swim depending whether Steph is hot or not. Hot or not, hot or not. But if he is hot, you got problems.
Yes.
Okay? They are sitting in the 8th spot right now. So they are, as we speak, a playoff team. I'm not sure they will hang in there, but they are, when you have Steph, you got a chance, right? Then here comes Phoenix. The 4 seed right now, 17-9.
Yep.
And you left them out. You always leave them out when you talk about threats in the West. Are you discounting them?
No, I don't think they're one of the top three teams. Right? I just listed 3 teams. I think Utah, Lakers, and the Clippers. Okay.
Well, Devin Booker, I said at some point he's going to win an MVP. It doesn't look like it's going to be this year, but that's who he is.
Yes.
And that team is well coached, and it's got so much young talent. DeAndre Ayton is.
And Chris Paul does a great job of steering the ship.
And do you have a DeAndre Ayton on your team? I think not.
No.
Okay, and then you wind up this stretch before the All-Star break at Sacramento. I told you they're 7-10 at home, 12-15 overall. They're just dangerous on any given night.
Because they're so young, they just up and down.
Hey, and De'Aaron Fox is an all-star. He's just an all-star, and he's turned into a perennial all-star.
Yep.
Okay, look at that stretch. That's pretty rough. So your man is now 26-8-8. Down 2 assists from last year when he led the league. So he's concentrating on other things. Okay? 3-point shooting, you better start making them. The seat's getting hotter. You got to make them.
I prefer he make the free throws.
Okay.
Because he's missing those at an alarming rate.
Okay. Free throws right now. He is at 71%. That ranks 97th in the National Basketball Association. 97th at 71%. Not good enough.
Right.
To me, that's not MVP caliber. So you better up the ante here. You better up your game in every facet.
Well, I just think the thing is, Skip, he's going to have to play better. They can't afford to get out because what they did against the Nuggets is what they do. They normally start slow. Skip, they were down 22-2 to Memphis, and we saw them fall behind by, 15 to OKC in a couple of games. So they normally start slow. Against the Nuggets, they started well. It was the last 2 to 3 minutes at the half that got them into trouble, and then they was never able to get back in the ball game. But like I said before, this is LeBron's opportunity without Anthony Davis to show why people have him in the MVP discussion and leading the charge.
I got it.
But the other guys also, Skip.
I agree. Kuzma, rise and shine. Schroeder, rise and shine. Markieff, his brother last night had a big 32-point game for the Clippers.
He got him to that start in the first half, Skip.
Markieff, you better rise and shine.
Yes.
And finally, THT on TNT. You better rise and shine because you have been blessed by the King. You have been knighted on both shoulders with a sword by the King. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
You are a Clutch client, and he has blessed you because he wants you to rise and shine for Clutch, for the agency, and for the Lakers. Is it time for THT to start taking over games in spurts?
Yes.
Well, maybe.
Yes.
That LeBron says he's something. He's special, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Skip, you know what they need to do, Skip? They just need to make... I'm watching everybody around the league. Everybody can make threes except us. You notice that? Everybody, I'm talking about they draining threes left and right. They're making 15, 20, 25, 27. I think somebody made a couple of weeks ago, maybe made 28, 29. I'm like, damn, Lakers going 6 of 30. Lakers go 7 of 27. I'm like, damn, everybody can shoot except the Lakers?
I thought LeBron figured it out.
Skip, LeBron ain't shooting 27 threes. The team needs to figure it out. I ain't worried about GOAT. GOAT gonna do other things.
But GOAT's got to lead the charge. He's got to set the tone.
Skip, they got the second best record overall in the NBA. He's doing fine.
Okay, 2 weeks ago, I was reading all these stories about, Lord have mercy, LeBron is making every three he looks at. And some nights he can when he gets going.
Skip, look, the likelihood of somebody shooting 50% all year from the three-point line, especially a guy that shoots that many. Yeah, there have been guys that shot 50%, but they didn't shoot the volume that LeBron is shooting. As great as Steph Curry is, he's never shot 50% from the three. Neither has Clay. There have been some great Ray Allen, Reggie Miller. There have been some great shooters from three. Shooting 50% from the three-point line is very difficult. If you can shoot 40, you've had an outstanding season from the three. If LeBron James can stay somewhere in the high 30s to maybe 40% from the three, that'll be fine, considering there have been very few people that have other tools in the toolbox, as many tools as he has, because he still can get to the rim, Skip.
Okay, well, he better be getting to the rim like crazy.
No, that takes too much out. Look, I think what needs to happen is that there are a lot of times that LeBron gets up to these blazing starts, and then he's like, okay, I'm good. Let me get other guys involved.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to be able to continue to do that.
Over this 9-game stretch, without AD, before you hit the All-Star break, what will he shoot from three? Can he shoot 40% from three in this stretch?
As long as you say 38, 40, we good.
Well, is it 40? Which is it?
What we need to do is that come out of this 9-game stretch, we need to be no worse than 7-2.
Okay, all right. What I don't want to see is I don't want to see that first-year Laker LeBron. I don't want to see it anymore. I don't want to see in this stretch him saying, I just don't have enough help.
Well, I think the thing is Kuzma should be better. I like to think the guys that they have around him are better. They're not as young now, so guys, and they've won a championship. A lot of these guys, Caruso's won a championship, THT's won a championship, KCP's won a championship. So the expectation level and what LeBron expects of them and what they expect of themselves should be higher than what it was 3 years ago.
I just don't want to see Kuzma have to shove LeBron out to guard a three-point shooter.
Yep. Look at the defensive analytics on LeBron.
Yeah.
They speak for themselves.
Oh, okay.
They speak for themselves.
I just don't want to see that blooper tape that we saw 2 years ago.
How about this here?
Wait.
No.
Wait. Just to remind everybody, I think we need, wait, here it is. It came out of nowhere. I didn't call for it. It just happened. It has a mind of its own. LeBron, LeBron, get out there and guard the three-point shooter. Kuzma had to shove him out there. LeBron, you got to pick up the ball. Just don't do this in this 9-game stretch. Don't try to be too cool for school here and kick the ball out of bounds before you pick it up. LeBron, stop it. LeBron, you can't do this. This is Mario Hezonja. You got to be. That's the last-second shot at the Garden. You can't let Hezonja block your shot.
But let me ask you a question.
What happened?
Did you know that notice? You ain't show no footage from the bubble last year. You ain't show nothing of that last year. What happened last year?
You saw what happened.
What happened?
The Clippers didn't want to be there.
See? You see what you did? Now, all of a sudden, we get responsible for somebody else not wanting to be there. You got an obligation. That's what you do. You play, right?
The Miami Heat last night lost to the Clippers without 4 starters, and that's the Heat team you got to play in the finals.
What I got to do with it?
Congratulations.
Okay, so
you won cubic zirconia.
Was Giannis over there?
Over where?
In the East. What about the Celtics? What about Toronto?
Yeah. Did you see Giannis in the postseason last year in the bubble?
That's not our fault.
Oh, okay.
That's not our fault.
Okay, I just don't want to see any more blooper tapes. I don't want to get through this stretch and have to show you another blooper tape.
Do you want me to show you? You want me to show you what the Clippers did in Game 6, 7?
No.
You don't want me to see Paul George hit the backboard?
It's just ingrained in my psyche.
Okay. I'll just make it show.
Emblazoned.
I'll just make it show.
It's tattooed on my psyche.
You don't want me to show you Kawhi going 2-11 in the fourth quarter of Game 7?
Yep.
You
He did.
Okay.
He did. Because they were looking ahead to the match they wanted was to beat the Lakers.
Yeah.
And they're on a mission this year to beat the Lakers.
You can't talk about where you're going and crash on your way there.
That's what they
You
do.
never make it.
Yep. I agree.
No mercy.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com.
No mercy.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you.
No mercy.
There could be some positive news for Cowboys fans with Dak Prescott. While there are still no reports of a deal being any closer, Dak responded to Blake Jarwin's Instagram post asking if the QB wanted to run it back in a few months. Dak responded simply with, quote, "That's the only way I see it." CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz both chimed in with positive comments as well. So, Shannon, what do you read into this?
Make it nothing. The same thing I make of everything that I see on IG for the most part, Skip. We have to infer. We see somebody post the money. Oh, man, they loaded. They got a boatload of money. We see somebody posted up in front of cars. Man, look at the fleet they got. And they probably in front of rental cars. This doesn't mean anything to me. I want someone to wake me up when Dak Prescott put pen to paper on a long-term deal. Not a franchise tag again. The Cowboys have been saying this. Steven and Jerry Jones, Dak's a franchise guy. Dak's our guy. Nobody is more fond of Dak Prescott than the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
And I ain't seen no contract. And Dak is saying all the right things as he should, because I'm not going to mess up my opportunity. Oh, man, Dak's looking at other opportunities. No, I'm going to say, oh, yeah, I want to run it back. I want to run it back. Sure, Dak wants to run it back, but Dak wants to run it back at fair market value. And so for me, Skip, this doesn't do anything for me. This like what somebody tweeted this and Dak liked it and he commented. This is what I want to see happen. When they pull out them contracts, Skip, that thing they have the NFL stationery on it, and you start flipping them pages, and Dak sitting there with his nice suit on, with his cowboy hat, and he put pen to paper on a long-term deal, then you and I going to have really something to talk about. But this right here, this does nothing for me.
Okay. Shannon Sharpe, as you know, I am virtually a lifelong Dallas Cowboy fan. It's not quite lifelong because they weren't born until after I was born.
Yeah,
Okay,
1960.
so not until I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
So in my 10th year on this planet, my uncle, who lived in Dallas, actually took me to a game at the old Cotton Bowl. And I saw then what were called the St. Louis Cardinals, a football team, as well as a baseball team, play the Dallas Cowboys and win that day. But I was smitten for life in large part because of the stars on the shoulder pads in those days. Do you remember those days?
Yeah, I do.
And on the side of the helmet.
They wear them sometime in their throwbacks, Skip. Don't they wear them sometime for their throwbacks?
Every once in a while they do. So I'm here to tell you that with this moment, it has come to this for us on this show, having to try to read into some silly IG post that means Dak is a Cowboy for life, the way I'm a fan for life.
Right.
The depression of this is pulling me down into the abyss.
Right.
And I'm not exaggerating. As a Cowboy fan, I have never been more depressed about my chances that I went from mountaintop to Death Valley in 1 year. Because last year was just abysmal for me from start to finish. Because they narrowly lost that opener to kick off the game out here against the Rams in their brand new multi-billion-dollar stadium. And it was a close call, and I thought they got robbed on a push-off call, remember, on Michael Gallup.
Ramsey.
And they lost. And then it went from bad to worse, and you know the rest of the story. And then Dak was lost in the 5th game, and it was just a long, miserable year in which they actually had a little bounce back at the end that cost them some crucial draft spots, right?
Yeah, you slid down three or four spots.
So what am I supposed to do with this as a fan? Because I don't like any of it. Dak is now engaged in a public PR battle with Jerry and Stephen Jones.
Right.
They've got their radio shows. Dak's got Instagram.
IG.
and he's trying to win in the court of public opinion by saying, hey, that's the only way I see it. I want to be a Cowboy for life. Blake, you and I. And the depressing thing about this is Blake Jarwin was lost in that first game of the year at the Rams.
Right.
He was gone for the year. He was the guy that Dak called maybe the best athlete on the team. Best athlete on the team?
Well, it should have become close, Skip, because they probably was rehabbing together. Blake was, you know, I don't know with the protocols how it was. Could you still be at the facility?
I don't know.
Right.
So now I hear all kinds of conjecture and speculation about the extent of Dak's career-threatening injury, that he needed a second surgery to get right, which is not unusual, as you pointed out. But it's depressing to me because I don't know. That puts another X factor into this equation of, what if he can't move the way he used to move? What if it somehow affects his platform throwing, where when he strides into it, he's not comfortable and he loses a touch of accuracy? Because he can be deadly accurate when he gets in a rhythm. And yet, I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't, because I don't want to lose Dak Prescott. On the other hand, do I think he's worth 42, 43, 44 million? I do not, because I told you before, I'm a bigger Cowboy fan than I am a Dak fan, but I've been the biggest Dak defender on earth, especially sitting in this seat across from you, because you have been hard on Dak Prescott. You have never loved him.
Right, but here's the thing, though, Skip. You know there are certain things that are going to increase in value. So even though it might be high at the time that you want to purchase it, it's best that you go ahead and purchase it now as opposed to waiting down the road, because the value is only going to increase. That's what it is with like quarterbacks.
Okay, but what you're telling me is now you have to overpay even more to keep him?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Because when you had the opportunity, what would have been you thought a slight overpay at 38, 39 million, you feel is going to be grossly overpaid at 40, 41 million.
Even last year at, what was that tag, 33, well.
31.
30, went up to 30, it's about 32. Let's call it 32.
Okay.
he still ate up the largest chunk of any team's salary cap in the NFL because some of those deals, the Mahomes, the Deshaun deals,
well, you prorate
were low to start with.
Well, see, Skip, with the 31 points, when you say 32 million, Skip, there is no proration.
No.
So you put all...
You got to swallow it right here, right now. Okay? And what did we get for it? We got nothing.
You got 5 games.
Okay, you got 5 games, but they were on their way to losing the Giants game when he went down. And Andy Dalton came in and saved it with 2 miraculous throws, or that would have been a disaster.
Skip, this is what we know. We know that you're not going to win very many games if you don't have a quarterback. Also, if you have uncertainty, you have a quarterback, but does he want out? The situation with Russell Wilson, the situation with Dak Prescott with the contract extension. That's the same as not having a quarterback because everybody's looking around, man, is Dak, I wonder if Dak going to be here. Is Dak coming? Is Dak going? Is Russ going to be here? Is Russ not going to be here? So you have uncertainty at that position. It's the one position you want to have absolute certainty at.
Right. Okay, so look at what I'm facing going into next year. How are they going to fix the defense on the fly? It was historically bad.
Right.
Will it get that much better next year with the new coordinator? I doubt it.
Well, they got Dan Quinn.
I know, but so you got the old Seattle factor.
Right.
Okay.
But Skip, they didn't like Chris Richard. Chris Richard learned that defense under Dan Quinn.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Are they going to be appreciably, markedly better, dramatically better? I doubt it.
Skip, and did we see Dan Quinn's defenses in Atlanta? How were they?
It's terrible.
People need to understand, look, it's easy to call a defense when you got Sherm, you got Earl Thomas, you got B-Wag, you got KJ Wright, you got DeBennett, you got Cliff April. You got those guys in their prime, Skip.
Cam
Chancellor. It's easy to call defense when you got those young dogs like that.
They were young dogs. I'm not sure there's ever been a hotter defense than that one got hot.
And Skip,
that stretch.
And basically, they all came in damn near around the same time, 2011, 2012, all that, 2013, all of them. So you got them 22, 23, 24, 25, and they hungry.
Yep.
So, and then, Dan Quinn doing that defense. Look at what he got in Atlanta when he didn't have those dogs.
Okay, now, turn it back to Jerry Jones. Think of the torment that I have to undergo on a daily basis on this show, because what has Jerry's reputation been? His whole career in Dallas.
Jerry normally pays.
Overpays.
Yeah.
And he dramatically overpaid just about everybody, starting with the running back. Can I condemn Jerry? Because I wanted him paid, and I had no problem with it, but he came back not himself.
Right.
As I keep telling you, it's like he was in Cabo and he's still running in Cabo sand. We saw the video of him running in Cabo sand. It looks like he's doing it in games to this day. He never looked like he got back in great shape. He lost a touch of burst, and that's all you need to lose in this league, and all of a sudden, you're just pretty good.
You're just a power back now.
Okay, you're a power back, and he's okay, but he's not worth the most money any back gets paid in this league.
Right.
And DeMarcus Lawrence, he comes and he goes. I see flashes, but I don't see consistent terror.
Yeah, $20 million. You're supposed to be in the Pro. For $20 million a year as a D lineman, you got to be in the Pro Bowl every year.
You got to. And Amari Cooper, they feared that the rival Washington football team was going to snatch him up for some record price for a receiver. So they said, okay, let's go to $21 million to keep him. Did he have a $21 million year? No, he did not.
Let's be Skip, and you and I, we agree on this. Amari, it's hard for me to see Amari as a top 10 receiver. When you get down to it, Skip, when you get to the Tay Adams, the D. Hopkins, and all those guys, Stephon Diggs, the Tyreek Hills, it's hard to see him as a top 10 receiver.
Right.
The kid, A.J. Brown in Tennessee. When you look at all these receivers, Justin Jefferson, you're like, is he really the highest paid? Julio, even though Julio was hurt, is he really the highest? Wow.
Okay, then look at my linebacker, Jalen Smith. Half the time last year, he just looked lost to me. I know he tries hard. He's got a big heart.
Yeah.
He's a good kid. We had him on the show at the Super Bowl. I like him. I root for him.
Yes.
But I can't love him because he feels overpaid.
He's out of position a lot.
He's out of position. It's like chicken with head cut off, the old cliche from the barnyard, right? That's what, just running crazy, running the wrong way. I don't know. How can I love that? Well, everywhere I turn, overpay, except the premier premium position in all of sports, quarterback. He said, no, I'm not going to do that.
You want to penny pinch that position.
Okay, it's not that you penny pinch. You said it was a fair offer, but you're not going to go a little over the edge to keep him. And as you say, the clock ticks, the price goes up. And all of a sudden you're looking at, wait a second. Now they're stuck. They're going to have to pay him $38 million. I'm rounding up.
Right. With
$38 million on the tag.
Right.
It's going to eat up by far the most of any team's chunk of quarterback salary cap.
And what did it say, Skip? Normally what happens is if you're going to give somebody the tag, they're going to want at least the tag for the first 2 to 3 years. So you do 38, that's 76. You tack on another 38 to that. Well, Skip, what's that? That's 114. So you take the bare minimum, Skip. And that's what some of these guys with two, and see what Dak is looking at, Skip. He said, hold on. That's what Wentz got. That's what Jared Goff got with 2 years left on their deal. Why would I take that with no years left on my deal? I got to get something because they got security. They took less money, but they got the financial security. I already, Skip, and plus, the man broke his ankle. It's going to be hard to get that man to take a hometown discount having already gone through what he gone through. It's funny how when a man's life flashed before his eyes, he views things totally different. He views giving a hometown discount totally different now.
Okay, so just for the record and for perspective, I'm now faced having to deal with you across the table with the prospect of paying 42, 3, 4, and 5 million, something like that for 4 years.
At least 40.
Okay, starting at 40, but escalating up into the 40s into Mahomes territory. I'm faced with having to pay that to make him happy, to keep him long term. And this is the same quarterback who in his last 17 games, his starters record is 6-11. This is the same quarterback who down the stretch 2 seasons ago, the Hall of Famer across from me gave 7 Fs in his last 13 starts.
Just give them to him.
He earned 7 Fs. 7 Fs. These are flunk-fail grades, right? He flunked 7 to the table at 8 and 8 with every chance in the world to go win a final game and right the wrong in Philadelphia. He had a sore shoulder. He couldn't practice that week, but he stunk at Philadelphia.
Skip,
I'm sorry. That's the guy.
Skip,
so that's, you're telling me he's going to get Patrick Mahomes money and he's going to severely restrict my salary cap to where you can't give him much more help?
It's your fault because you had an opportunity to do something before it got to this. Skip, we've all gone into stores. And I know you can attest to this. And you pick up a garbage, you look at something. Man, there ain't no way this item is worth that. And they said, look here, this is the price. You want it? If not, move it along.
Okay.
You want Dak or not? If you don't want it, move it along, Skip.
Okay, the problem is it's so hard to move it along because when you're in the store, you can just say, well, then I'll take that one.
Exactly.
Well, there's no, I'll just take that one on this deal because there's not another that one.
Exactly.
Because he's pretty good. He's like edge of the top 10. It's like Amari. He's pretty good, but is he that guy? No, he's not that guy. Is he Deshaun Watson? No, he's not. I'm sorry, he's not. We're going to talk about Deshaun in a few minutes.
You wouldn't have had to give Amari if you did the deal beforehand. You let him let the deal run out, so he's a free agent.
Okay, but remember, now Jerry's got his back up because this thing's turned into bad blood in the negotiation because he feels like he got the rug jerked out from him early 2 seasons ago, right? And now he's sitting back saying, well, time out. Look what just happened with the Rams and Jared Goff. Look what's happening with the Eagles and Carson Wentz out of the same draft. They said, let's just give him money. Let's give him money. Jared Goff traded. Carson Wentz on the block. It's imminent any day now. He's going to be gone. So Jerry's saying, I think I was right about this. Okay, Jerry, what's plan B? Show me a plan B. Do you have an ace up your sleeve?
But I love how Jerry loves to say, well, look, you see what happened in Philly. You see what happened in L.A. I was right. But that's the only thing that he judges every other franchise by, the mistakes that they made. You see what when he went rogue and did his own deal with Pepsi, when he went rogue and did his only deal with the ticket agency.
I got it. Okay, but you know he feels validated now that he's dug in. He feels like he is winning this battle. Okay, you're winning and losing because show me who's next. If you show me who's next, I'm okay.
What was the guy? Garrett Gilbert?
Yeah.
That's your guy? That's what you want, Skip?
Garrett Gilbert.
Yeah, that's what you want?
Or that 7th rounder.
Oh, man. Oh, being Anthony DiNucci.
Yeah.
That's your guy.
That's my guy.
Oh, I
It was
just
a hard
think
year,
about
man.
the years that Skip has had to endure as a Cowboy fan and the drama and stress. It's a lot. It's a lot every single day. It's a lot, and we don't know what's going to happen with Dak at this point. I want to get back to the NBA guys with the trade deadline approaching in late March. The Cavs have decided to sit Andre Drummond while they look for a trade partner to send him to. The Pistons have been doing the same with Blake Griffin. Well, that didn't sit well with Draymond Green, and last night Green sounded off about it. Take a listen for yourself.
To watch Andre Drummond before the game sit on the sideline, then go to the back, and then come out in street clothes because a team is going to trade him. Because when James Harden asked for a trade and essentially dogged it, I don't think there was no surprise or there's no one's going to fight back that James was dogging it his last days in Houston. But he was castrated for wanting to go to a different team, and everybody destroyed that man. And yet a team can come out and say, oh, we want to trade a guy, and then that guy is to go sit. And if he doesn't stay professional, then he's a cancer.
All right, there's a lot there. Shannon, how did you feel about his rant? Did you like it?
I love it. And Skip, he's absolutely spot on. Because remember, he mentioned James Harden. Oh, and like I said, players are not allowed. You signed the contract, honor the contract. Skip, they told this man, Andre Drummond, Blake Griffin, you're not playing until your agents and we figure out a situation. Really? Skip, if I'm not mistaken, they fined AD $100,000 for some requesting for wanting out. Even though he's behind the scenes, say, trying to handle this in a private manner, they say, no, a healthy scratch. So, James, so in other words, and this is what I've always had a problem with, teams can do whatever they want because the fans, for some reason, Skip, the billionaires have somehow done a great job of convincing the fans. If a player does something, the billionaire has been wronged by the millionaire player. It happens in every sport. In football, Skip, we see that all the time. A player, they're going to side strikes. The fans side with the players. And here's a situation. Teams put together teams all the time. You look at Danny Ainge really started the big three when he went out and got Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen and teamed up with Paul Pierce. Everybody said Danny Ainge was genius. Boy, that was unbelievable what he did. But LeBron James as a free agent, Chris Bosh as a free agent, how dare they do that? They ruined the league. They ruined the league. Kevin Durant as a free agent, he go join Steph and Clay. He ruined the league. So players don't have the ability as a free agent to do what teams do all the time. They cut players, they trade players, but to tell a player, you cannot play, and the player is healthy. Because remember, the Adam Silver came out and said that healthy players, I'm expecting you to play. And if a healthy player doesn't play in a national televised game, they're going to find the team hundreds of thousands of dollars. Draymond is 1,000% correct, Skip. They got to do something about this because you can't say, if I want to move on, I want to play the younger guys. Okay, James Harden said, look, I don't believe I can win here. Skip, I didn't get upset at James wanting to move. I got upset with how he handled it. So he should have been allowed to sit, not cause a commotion until they find a trade partner. Don't force him to go out there and play. Don't label him and say all these other things. And fans, you need to understand. Give the player the same respect you give the team. When they want out, when the team want to move on with a player, they want to buy him out or they want to trade it, they got no problem sitting a healthy player. Let the players have that same kind of leeway.
Okay. On this one, I'm not with you, and I'm not with Draymond. And yet, I want to be clear that I have always been very pro-player. I think all these players, they're so gifted, they should get every penny they can get. And many times, they do get well paid for what they do. And I'm not about shut up and dribble here. I'm just talking about the rules are the rules that you signed off on. You ceded some of this control to the owners through collective bargaining.
Yes.
So if you don't like it, fight it. Next time you get the chance, fight back. It's going to cost you some money to fight, as you well know. You're going to have to sit out, literally without getting paid. Yeah. Because we're talking about right now an Andre Drummond in the report. They spoke right before tip-off, so I'm sure they were commiserating over this. That's fine. But I can't work up a lot of sympathy right now for Andre Drummond because he's in his 9th season in this league.
Right.
He's made so far, if you give him the rest of his contract this year, which is $28.8 million, okay? He will have made $136 million to play basketball. It's pretty good.
Yes.
It's not like I can work up a whole lot of sympathy for him.
Right.
And yet he's 0-8 in playoff games. Well, I think Cleveland's talking about, I could be wrong, but they might be trying to trade him to a contender so his life could get better. So
why not play?
Huh?
Why not play him then?
Okay.
He's a basketball player.
Okay. They've moved on to Jared Allen, which I think Jared Allen is better than Andre Drummond.
Okay.
Okay. So they have moved on. So instead of making him sit on the end of the bench in uniform, they're saying you don't need to dress because obviously they don't want to risk
Why
him
not
getting
play
hurt.
him in the basketball game? He's a basketball player. He plays basketball.
Okay, what if during warm-ups he turns an ankle and he's not tradable?
Well, what if James Harden was out there when he was
Okay,
making
but stay on Drummond. Stay on Drummond because James is a whole different situation.
I look at it as like a player saying, the organization says, we want to move on. A player says, I want to move on. What's the difference?
For a brief period, they're saying, Andre, just take the night off. You're okay. And it's pretty good because they're not cutting your pay. They're actually paying you $28 million to sit.
That man wants to play basketball.
Okay, but he's going to sooner than later.
No, I want to play right now.
Okay, but in the next few days, you want to play for a team that's not going to make the playoffs. You just want to go out and play.
He played for a lot of teams. Detroit did. There were a lot of years Detroit didn't make the playoffs, and he played.
Okay, so pretty soon he might be a net. He might be with the net. I don't know who he's going to be. And it'd be like, thank you, God. Look where I got. I got to KD and Kyrie and James.
But Skip, see, the problem is now is that you're looking at it because you signed the contract. Okay, the team signed the contract also.
Yep.
Andre Drummond is a basketball player. He didn't say, well, if things are not going well, I want to be able to sit and then move on. I don't know, and I could be wrong. I don't believe Andre Drummond went to the team and said, I want to get traded. This was their decision. Okay, this is their decision. They have a young...
But they were able to acquire a younger, better player than you, so I'm sorry. If you dressed last night, there's a chance you'd play 3 minutes. I don't know.
Skip, all I know is I saw the man against the Lakers have 25 and 20.
Okay.
The guys led the league in rebounding. You got to go back to Moses Malone, to somebody that averaged 15, 16 rebounds over 3 or 4.
He's a good rebounder. He's led this league in rebounds 4 times. Last year he had 18 and 15 on 2 different teams, Detroit and Cleveland, obviously.
So that's worth something, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, I got it. But this isn't going to last the rest of the year. They're not saying you're in mothballs till next year. No, it's just a week or so or however long.
Why it got to be a week? Why can't he play basketball?
Okay,
he's a basketball player.
So for a team that's going nowhere?
Let me ask you a question.
Why would he want the wear and tear on his body?
So let me ask you a question.
After 9 years.
Any team that's not going anywhere, a player that wants to get out, he should just sit it down. We're not going anywhere anyway. James Harden should have just set it down because he said Houston doesn't have enough to win. Okay. So he should have just been able to sit it down, no questions asked.
Okay, I can only comment from my perspective. I'm not going to use the word that Draymond used last night. That
bull jive.
No, what happened, what the media did.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to use that word. But let's just say I did not condemn James for finally saying, I just can't do this by myself. I did not condemn it.
No.
It was ugly. He got heavy, and he was dogging it. Although, his dogging it, we both raved about the first night he played at Portland.
44-17.
Yeah, it was like, what?
Yeah.
But there are other nights when he wasn't trying.
He wouldn't even
hard.
shoot the ball.
Okay.
And James Harden never met a shot, with the exception in Brooklyn now that he didn't like.
So clearly at Portland, was that the opening? I believe it was. I think he just wanted to say, hey, I can still do this. Now get me out of here. I just want to show everybody I'm still good.
Right.
I might be a couple of pounds heavy, maybe 10 or 12 pounds, but I can still do this, right?
Yes.
And it went right to the wire, and he almost pulled it off by himself. Okay? So he got what he wanted. Did Anthony Davis not get what he wanted? I mean, these guys have contracts.
What did the Pelicans do? They shut him down.
Okay, but how can you not? Because you have a contract.
Yes.
Do you honor your contract here at Fox? Yes, you do.
Yes.
I mean, listen, I got one. If you want out, you can't get out.
Right.
You can't.
But Skip,
you can go sit if you want to, but you can't go anywhere else.
No, but Skip, my thing is that he has a contract and he wants to play, but because you want to move him, you says, no, don't play. But if I want to move on, I've got to play. How is that in the scheme of things? I get it.
Okay. Blake Griffin, Detroit. He wants out. He's asking for a trade, and they're saying, okay, we're going to shop you. We're going to find you a new home. We're going to try to make you happy and help us at the same time.
Right.
But we can't play you right now. Not that he was giving him a whole lot anyway,
Right.
but we can't play you because we can't risk that you're going to get hurt and then you can't be traded.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You're going to have to buy him out. Nobody's going to trade.
Okay.
Blake Griffin is owed like $76 million
Okay.
because he has, what, 30 plus this year and
Whichever.
39 on the player
I know,
option.
but they'll try that, and then they'll try a buyout.
Yeah,
They'll
but I
try
want
to
90
figure
cents
out
on the dollar.
how to get him out.
I want 90 cents on the dollar.
Okay, well, they're going to try to work this out. I'm sure they'll do the best they can. And guess what? Blake Griffin will wind up on a better team than Detroit.
Yeah.
Want to bet?
Yeah.
So will it not help Blake late in his career?
But let me ask you a question, Skip. Do we believe that a championship is the missing piece on Blake Griffin's resume?
Yeah.
What does it change? Blake Griffin going to the Hall of Fame in pro basketball with a championship? No. Nobody, that's not on his, that's not the missing piece from Blake.
No,
Nobody's saying, man, if Blake won a championship, I would look at Blake Griffin totally different.
Well,
no,
I think
you're not.
you would some.
No.
Well,
No, he's not one of those guys. He's not one of those guys.
He's never even come close to winning a championship.
No, but Skip.
Okay, but
because
those first 3 or 4 years,
Skip,
he was a sensation in this league.
Skip, whatever team he goes to that's in championship contender, what's he going to be? Third, fourth option?
Oh, I don't know. Is he going to be better off than he was in Detroit?
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Yes, he'll be better off. He'll probably win more. But is that the missing piece? That was the missing piece on KD's resume. That's the missing piece on James Harden's resume.
Yep.
That's not the missing piece. Okay, Dame Lillard, he gets a championship. Yeah, it's going to change the way we view him in totality.
Yep.
It ain't nobody changing the way we look at Blake Griffin.
Yep. Okay, and then Draymond's complaining about how players have no rights, and he got fined pretty heavily for the remarks he made on TNT as a guest commentator about Devin Booker in
Right.
Phoenix. He needs to get out of there.
Right.
I don't think Devin needs to get out of there. Just
Right.
me.
Right.
I think they're going to be really good.
Yeah, I like Monty Williams. I like Chris Paul being there.
Okay, all right.
Most of all, Skip.
Okay, so he got fined because you can't talk
No, you
about
can't do- you can't
other
do that.
players. Okay,
Draymond, you can't do that.
Okay, there's certain
You
rules
can't do
that are in place
Draymond, you can't do that.
Okay, and remember, I'm going back like 10 years ago, some of the power broker players were saying, let's start our own league.
Right.
Well, if you can do that.
No, you can't.
But good luck to you because it is hard to run a business.
Skip, you remember Tiger Woods talking about thinking he started his own tour?
Totally.
He thought about it for like 2 seconds.
Okay.
And then he realized how much it was going to cost?
There's some Phils and some Rorys. Rory wasn't really in the group, but there were several saying, maybe we could start our own tour.
No, you can't.
No, it's too hard.
No.
Okay.
You can have these little shootouts like you had with you and Peyton and you and Charles Barkley. You can do things like that. But you're not finna start no 25, 30 stop tour. That ain't happening.
Okay. All right. So to me, Draymond has been to the mountaintop. He's been in the brightest spotlight on one of the best teams ever. You can make it count. Obviously, in regular season record they were. And all of a sudden, they've fallen off the mountaintop and they're clinging barely to the 8th spot. And coming up behind them is Dallas and Memphis, right?
Yeah.
So he tied his career high last night with 16 assists, and he thought, okay, now I'm back in power here. I got a little leverage. I'm going to rant.
I mean, Draymond's been playing better. Now, I don't even know if he's averaging double figures, but he runs the offense, Skip. I mean, he has the ball in his hands. I mean, he's passing the ball to Steph, setting the picks for Steph. So he's really facilitating the offense. That's why his assist totals are so high.
He was 6, 8, and 16 last night.
And I think he had a 16 assist game the other night.
Yeah.
But Skip, that's my thing. I don't know how the owners have been able to do it in the professional sports to get fans to side with billionaires over millionaires.
Look, in the end, you've experienced this your whole life. It's because fans sit back and say, Shannon, you get to do that for a living?
Yeah.
I wish I could do that for a living, so they're not going to have a whole lot of sympathy for you.
But you got sympathy for the man that paid me my salary. Because if I make...
They're not thinking about the man who pays your salary.
That's my point.
It just comes from nowhere. It's just you get that because you were blessed.
Yes.
You were born with your ability. Not that you didn't work hard to improve it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
No mercy.
Football Focus is claiming Deshaun Watson may have had just one of the best seasons of any quarterback over the past 15 years. Watson played with a horribly ranked defense and running game. The star receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, was also traded away for almost nothing in return, and his coach was fired midway through the season. Despite all that, he still finished with the 19th best passing grade in the last 15 years. So, Shannon, how high would you rank Watson here?
Skip, probably top 5, top 6, but not number 1. Considering what Aaron Rodgers did, Skip, 48-5, 4,400 yards passing. You look at what Mahomes did. You look at what Brady did, obviously. Skip, I thought he had an unbelievable season, but we got to get out of this notion. If a guy doesn't have a top 5 receiver, that he doesn't have anybody. Brandon Cooks had over 1,100 yards, and he missed one game. William Fuller IV, Skip, would have had over 1,100 yards had he not gotten suspended. So he was about to have 2 guys over 1,100, possibly 1,200 yards. Now, Pro Football Focus, now we're going to take them what they're saying. He had the 8th best pass-blocking offensive line in football. Now, that's what Pro Football Focus is saying, and that's what we're basing this on, how we're going to critique Deshaun Watson. So we can't discount one while we take into account the other. Yep. So they graded him that high. And so let's give his offensive line the credit that they deserve. Running game, I got no problem with them saying this running game because David Johnson hadn't had a good year since he had that breakout season. Skip, what was that, 2016? He hasn't been that since then. Been hurt an awful lot. His running game was terrible. His defense was terrible. But he has weapons. Skip, all Brandon Cooks does is that wherever he goes, 1,000 yards receiving seasons following. He's in New England for 1 year, he got 1,000 yards. He's in New Orleans for years, he gets 1,000 yards. He goes to the Rams, he gets 1,000 yards. He goes to Houston, he gets 1,000 yards. That's all I know. William Fuller IV. Skip, I'm not saying the guy's Julio Jones or Tay Adams, but he's a good receiver. And Tom Brady, when the last time Tom Brady had a Pro Bowl receiver? A Pro Bowl receiver. I ain't talking about tight end, I'm saying a Pro Bowl receiver. And so, look, I think Deshaun Watson is unbelievable. I believe he's a top 5, top 6 quarterback. I really do. But to say he had the best season, so I want to know who he was throwing to as he led the league in passing yards. Skip, who catching the passes? Fans? Me? You? Jenny? I mean, you got to give the guys that he's played with some credit, Skip. I'm not saying they the upper echelon, but to try to dismiss William Fuller and to dismiss Brandon Cooks, I don't think that's fair.
Once again, I agree with Pro Football Focus. The harder I look at what Deshaun pulled off last year, it was the best season that any quarterback had last year on degree of difficulty. And they're making the case that if you rank it against over the last 15 years, historically like 2007 Brady record-breaking, that if you do the degree of difficulty that Deshaun's achievement is right there with Brady's achievement, given what he was working without. So, to quote from the piece, absolutely nothing went the Texans' way last year. Deshaun played with a terrible defense, a terrible running game, and no star receivers. And you're saying Brandon Cooks was a star.
No, Skip. I'm Skip. But see, think about it now. We've seen Tom Brady win Super Bowl after Super Bowl with no star receivers. Now, yeah, you would like to have, who wouldn't like to have a Tyreek? Who wouldn't like to have a Devontae or a Julio or Stephon Diggs? But the notion that says you can't be great without those guys is not true.
Okay. So he still put up the 19th best regular season passing grade of the Pro Football Focus era, of their lifespan. And it was a 91.2. And anything 90 plus for them is historically great. So he did it in spite of the DeAndre Hopkins trade.
Right. We all agree that was a terrible move.
It was a terrible move. And it was hard on him psychologically. And yet the conclusion is that Watson was the best quarterback in the league in 2020 and arguably had the best season from a quarterback in the past 15 years.
Do you believe he was the best quarterback last year? In 2020.
When I look at his lack of around him, the lack of running games, so they couldn't play action pass.
Right.
They couldn't screen pass. They didn't RPO much. He just dropped back and made it happen.
Right.
And I think those receivers are underestimated.
Yes.
I will give you that. because the top two they're pretty good.
Right, yeah.
And the little man from Green Bay who was in Dallas, little Randall Cobb, he's not bad.
Right.
Okay, so he had those three to choose from,
Right.
and they did pretty well. I'll just say this. I love Deshaun more than you do.
No, I think Deshaun is fabulous. I think he, like I said, but when you, Skip, Rodgers, Brady, Mahomes, Wilson, Josh Allen, and Deshaun.
Yep.
Okay, you taking Watson in front of Rodgers.
At this point in his growth, like right now, I would take Deshaun over Aaron Rodgers. If I had to go forward with him, I would take Deshaun right now because Aaron's what, 36? 37? He's on, going on 36.
The man just threw 48 touchdowns with 5 picks.
Okay, I'll still take Deshaun.
Okay, you Mahomes.
Okay, I'll go this far. I believe if Deshaun Watson had been the Kansas City quarterback against the Bucs in the Super Bowl, they would have scored more points than Mahomes scored.
I don't believe so. Because you know why? Because we've seen this before. No matter how great you are as a quarterback, when that pass rush get relentless, and people are like, man, I can't believe you gave Mahomes an F. I gave Cam an F too. Because Cam was up under the same duress against the Denver defense as Mahomes was. And we said Cam choked. But we tried to give Mahomes a pass. I don't grade like that, Skip. I call it like I see it. He didn't get the job done. The pressure was relentless. My thing, Skip, I think the thing is sometimes is that when we grade these quarterbacks and we look at them and he's like, well, you didn't break him here. You said he's not any good. I'm not saying Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is a great quarterback.
Yeah.
But you ask yourself, I'm not taking him over Rodgers right now. Not right now. Not over Mahomes right now.
Okay, I would. The reason I believe he would have done better under duress in the Super Bowl, he's got more pocket guts than Mahomes does. Mahomes bails too much for me. When Deshaun bails, he runs north. He steps up into the rush, and he'll break through it occasionally, and he'll run north.
It's hard to break through, Skip, when it was collapsing the pocket inside like they were Vita Vea and Sue.
Okay, Mahomes likes to bail south. And then if he escapes around you, he'll run with the ball. And he's an underestimated runner. He's got better sort of quickness/speed than I give him credit for because he looks like he weighs like 240 to me. But he can carry it because he's an athlete. But Deshaun is so wiry, quick, hard to get a grip on. Remember the play he made in the playoff game 2 years ago where the two Buffalo guys just smashed together. They both get grips on him, hands on him, and he escapes, wheels, and he's looking to throw, and he makes the throw of the game that wins the game.
Skip, I've said this. I would like to see Deshaun in a system like Kyle Shanahan, where they don't have top 5 receivers, but Kyle Shanahan can call the game. They can run the football, and they're going to be able to play action. I would love to see that. But right now, I mean, I don't know how many guys are going to take him over Rodgers. You taking him over Brady right now?
Are we going long-term or are we going right here, right now?
We talk about the next 2 years.
Okay, I don't think he could have done what Brady did in Tampa this year because I don't think anybody could have.
Why not?
Because of leadership, aura, goatness, where he just walked in and he turned a loser into a winner.
Yep,
like that.
The difference is that Brady came with instant credibility. He had 6.
Yep, okay.
When you walk into the room with 6, Skip, it's just like an actor. You on a movie set, and that guy got an Academy Award, or that lady got an Academy Award. You know what they bring to the table?
Yep. Okay, Brady does it with this underestimated, underappreciated poise. It doesn't look spectacular what's happened. I love to watch Deshaun because...
I love watching him, too. Well, he convinced me after what he did. He convinced me what he did in a loss to Alabama. I was convinced, okay, he the real deal.
Hey, he competes at the highest level.
I didn't need to see any more. I wish you could have came out that year.
And to me, he is a deadly accurate thrower.
Yes.
Who is mobile.
Yes.
He can move, but he moves to throw more than he moves to run.
Right.
So to me, if you get him in the right spot.
Let's go Niners.
Yeah, okay. And by the way, if in fact he is on the market, now we're back to the Draymond situation.
Oh, he's on the market.
Can he talk his way, force his way out of Houston the way James Harden forced himself in the NBA out of Houston? Well, if he does, I am here to tell you, in the history of this league, we have never seen a quarterback younger and better on the market.
No.
Never.
No.
You can look at Brett Favre once upon a time. How did Green Bay acquire him? Well, He was in Atlanta for a year.
No, he was a buckhead.
He was
at the bars.
Okay?
That's where he was at.
He had issues.
Yes.
And they didn't like his issues, so they were happy because he hadn't shown them enough on the field. Right. So he had proven next to nothing.
To know what he is, guys 25 quarterbacks don't become available.
25 years old, and you know.
Absolutely
You're not
know.
speculating.
No
You're
speculation.
not projecting at all. You know who he is.
Peyton Manning came available year 14.
You couldn't know for sure.
Tom Brady came available after year 20.
Okay.
Drew Brees came with a bum shoulder.
Right.
So we're talking about a guy that's fully healthy, in his prime, that's gone to multiple Pro Bowls, that's led teams to playoffs.
And I had not seen enough of Drew Brees in San Diego to say, oh, he's a Hall of Famer.
I had saw enough of him. I saw him get benched for Doug Flutie. Nobody, Skip, anybody that tell you they knew Drew Brees had what he had in him once he got to New Orleans, they're lying.
Yep.
They're lying. Because I saw him up close and personal twice a year. Mm-hmm. And I never in my wildest dream thought he
that's
was.
right, you did.
Yes, he was in San Diego when I went back to Denver. And I never in my wildest, Skip, he got benched for Doug Flutie.
He did?
That ain't not so.
And they were ready to move on.
Yes. Skip, you know how do you know they was ready to move on? They got the number 1 overall draft pick, and they selected Eli Manning, and they traded him for Phillip Rivers.
They did.
That's when they told you they were ready to move on.
Ready to move on.
So, no, guys like him at that position, this is the first time in the history he's come available.
This is just me. I don't care how much he costs. I would just close my eyes. Well, do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
He is that good. He will take you to the promised land.
You know why you do it, Skip? Because you believe, if you believe that what he is now, that's why the Rams gave up. They said, we're going to be picking in the high 20s and the 30s. So if you think the 32nd pick of the draft or the 30th pick of the draft will ever equal that, well, good luck.
Yep,
so
I agree.
You absolutely make that, Skip. There's no question about it.
Oof.
Him 25?
Yep.
The dude 25, he not even in the subdivision to his prime. He's still walking on the street getting to the subdivision to his prime.
Somebody should go knock the Texans' socks off with an offer because it will be worth it.
Oh, I know that Skip. All they try to do is drive up the price. We will not trade Deshaun Watson.
No mercy.
The Lakers are expected to be without Anthony Davis until at least the All-Star break in early March. After suffering a calf strain, AD will reportedly be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks, but there is not a set timetable on his return. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard is with us. So, Chris, do you expect LeBron to solidify his MVP case while AD is out here?
Well, look, he's got a chance to do it. It will be a historic achievement. We know at 36 years old, if he becomes the MVP, he'll be the oldest player ever to win the award. Karl Malone was close. He was 35, but really close to 36. But Malone was in his 14th season. LeBron obviously is in his 18th year, so it'd be a heck of an achievement if he does it. And let me lay this out for Skip, because I know Skip doesn't have LeBron in his top 5, I think he said yesterday. This is why LeBron right now is my leader for MVP. Obviously, he's got the Lakers with the second best record in the league. He's leading them in scoring and in assists. So he's playing good ball. Obviously, he shot the three-point a lot better, even despite this recent slump. But look at the other candidates. Joel Embiid, playing great, absolutely great. But he's missed 6 games, 6 of their 28 games. He's on a pace to play like a 65-game schedule out of 82. So nobody's
less than
won
that,
the
Chris.
award
It's 72
in like
this year.
Years.
It's 72 games this year, Chris.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying to give the perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be the equivalent of playing 65 out of 82.
Okay.
Nobody's won it playing that few games since Bill Walton in like 77, 78. So that's a problem. If we go to Kawhi Leonard, who's playing well for the Clippers, Kawhi's also missed 6 games already, which for him isn't that bad, but still, he's already missed 6 games. Utah, best record in the league. Come on. As good as Donovan Mitchell is, we all know he's not an MVP, not yet by any stretch, all right? Milwaukee's not winning enough games for Giannis to get it for a 3rd straight year. Who else?
Joke.
The Brooklyn guys, none of them have even played close to enough games. And, Kyrie went AWOL and Harden just got there. And so none of those guys, I think, are candidates. And I do expect Jokic to make a push, Nikola Jokic, as Denver wins more games. maybe if Dame Lillard can get Portland to winning more games, then he's got a shot. And could Steph make a run if they could get up to a 4 seed? But my point is, there aren't, of the candidates, LeBron, to me, clearly has the best argument for right now as the MVP. Now, these next 9 games without AD, if they indeed, don't play him before the All-Star break, this is a chance for LeBron to solidify his lead as the #1 front runner. Because if they go 6-3, 7-2 or better without Anthony Davis and LeBron's putting up big numbers, then that, I think, would push him out front by a nice little margin. Conversely, if they go 4-5 and LeBron, not being able to lift them to wins and maybe he struggles a little bit, that would bring him more back to the pack. And then I think it would be wide open. So these 9 games really are, I think, a nice chance for LeBron to go, take the award at least for right now, or to fall back in line and leave it open to everybody.
Go ahead. You can follow him up.
I want to get all the bologna out on the table so I can just fry it. That's what I want to do.
I like fried bologna. You know that good old thick cup fried bologna?
Just for you.
It is swell up in the pan. You got to take that fork and stick a hole in it, Chris.
Go ahead. Crown him.
I like that.
I agree with Chris, Skip. I believe that this is an opportunity for him to solidify and further distance himself from the pack in the MVP discussion. Because what do you always hear when you mention LeBron in the MVP discussion? Yeah, but he played alongside AD.
Okay.
So now he's going to go at the bare minimum, we believe, 9-game stretch without AD. This is his opportunity to show. Now, he's played, I think 4 or 5 games without AD, and I think they've won, lost 2, and I think they won 4.
Mm-hmm. I think they're 4-1.
4-1.
I think they're 4-1.
Yeah, this is his opportunity. Without AD, Skip says, like, I'm still the guy. Other guys are going to have to step up. But Skip, I like what LeBron is doing this year. He's not going to be able to have the luxury, Chris. Well, what we've seen from LeBron, when he get hot, he'll back up. He just says, okay, guys, let me start getting other guys involved. He's not going to be able to do that now. Mm-hmm. When you get it going, when you get 21 in the first quarter, you better go ahead and try to finish up with 30, 34 in the half, because that's what it's going to take. You are the leader. Pull them along. Don't push them. Pull them along. And I believe that's what we're going to see. I got them at worst case, 6-3 over the next 9.
6-3.
Yeah. Huh. I got 2 cases right now. Put it in the middle of the table.
I can taste that dew already.
You want the 2 cases or what?
Yeah, I do. I want the 2 cases.
I saw you covered.
6-3.
6-3.
Okay, all right. So they have to win at least 6 of these for you to win your 2 cases. I'm 10 cases up over the last 3 weeks, so I'll take it. I will take that bet right now. And I'm about to take my friend Chris Broussard to the cleaners on his LeBron case, because I start with this. I think you're trying to explain to me LeBron is the MVP frontrunner by default. That's all you can do right now, because I thought Paul George was in this mix, but you got me again, because he's got a turf toe. I don't know. Can you get a turf toe in the NBA? I don't know. I guess you did, but he's got a toe injury. Okay, here's my problem with your MVP case. Again, LeBron is second in the NBA in turnovers. King, you got to clean that up in these next 9 games or you're going to struggle. He is in a predictable 3-point shooting slump since we hit the month of February. Last 7 games, all in February, he's shooting 28% from 3. That's 13 of 46. That ranks in the month of February 170th. He's plunged all the way down to 38%, which I used to think was pretty good in the NBA. It's not that good anymore, because he ranks overall for the year 90th in 3-point shooting. MVP, he had a terrible stretch in the month of January in fourth quarter and overtime production, because he went from that January 7th home loss to the Spurs all the way through the January 18th home loss to Golden State. And in the fourth quarters, he was 5 of 24. He was 2 of 12 from 3. That's not MVP caliber for me. Then we get to the free throw line. He's hovering at 71%. Even my man Shannon says that ain't good enough, because it's just not. That ranks 97th in the NBA. MVP, hey, you got a shot here. You don't have you got a great shot. You got a thank you God opening. You have the ability over the next 9 games to not only solidify, I think you could separate yourself an MVP if you take off and do what you think he is capable of doing. King, you're on the hot seat, but you're on also a role here where you got a bunch of home games. A lot of these games are at home, but you got like at Minnesota tonight. Should you win that game?
Yes.
You better, but they just won at Toronto. You got the Nets. I don't know if KD's going to play or not. If I know KD, I think he'll try to play in that game. Could be a problem. You've got Miami. I know they're teetering right now. They're back at almost full strength, but they're not playing the way they were in the bubble last year.
But everybody plays the Lakers different.
They do, and I agree. And Jimmy Butler last night at Clippers went 30, 10, and 10. Good luck. And you know what? He's going to rise and shine against the Lakers, right? You got a Washington team that's won 2 straight and 3 out of 5. They're starting to click because you want to talk about MVP. He's playing for a dog team. Bradley Beal's playing like an MVP, right? And then you go at Utah. They're 23-5. Good luck. And you don't think that crowd, they have one of the biggest home crowds so far. They're letting in about 4,000 a night. Right. And it sounds like they got 40,000 in there, right? Okay. Then you got Portland. They're 16-10. They're a surprise in the West, and they're sitting in the 5th seed. Then you got Golden State. Steph, if he's hot or not, if he's hot, you got trouble because they're sitting in the 8th seed. Then you got Phoenix. Shannon discounts them a little bit, but they're sitting in the 4th seed. They're 17-9, thanks in large part to Chris Paul and a guy who will win an MVP someday, Devin Booker.
Chris, before you go, let me ask you this. Of the guys that you believe are the MVP discussion, whether it's Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, whomever it may be, they've not had a bad stretch of games. Because it seems to me that you only highlighted that LeBron is the only one that's had a bad stretch of games.
He's, according to you, the best player on the planet.
Yes, but Skip, he's human.
The runaway MVP. That's what I keep hearing. Okay, he's the front runner.
Yes, he is. Okay. So, but I'm asking, has anybody else had a bad stretch?
I'm sure they have. The problem, they've had hurt stretches. That's, to Chris's point, by default. Okay, LeBron has an opportunity now without his co-star, a guy that a lot of people thought, including Chris, going into this year would probably have a better year than LeBron.
I was one of those guys. But Chris, he's making it seem like LeBron is averaging 19-5-5, and you got him in the MVP discussion.
Right.
He's 26-8-8.
Okay, but his assists are 2 off last year when he led the league in assists.
Yes.
So he is now shooting a career-high 7 3-point shots a game because I believe he is chasing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record by shooting more threes. Well, you better make more than you've been making.
Well, what about Schroeder? Is Schroeder the point guard?
I think, look, I don't begrudge LeBron for chasing Kareem's record. I think any player that's great is going to go after great individual accolades, along, of course, with winning. So I don't begrudge LeBron for that. But I also, Skip, think what this is, LeBron shooting more threes, this is the equivalent of Jordan or Kobe going in the post and developing that turnaround jump shot and that fadeaway jumper as they got older. Guys adjust their games. Nowadays, Jordan and Kobe would have done the same thing. They would have shot the 3 more just because of the difference in the way the game is played. So I just think this is the evolution of an older LeBron. And look, you're right. He's been in a slump lately. But if he's going to shoot, 38% from 3-point range? I mean, that is great. So, I have no problem when you shoot more threes. And I do think it enables him to play more minutes, that he's shooting more threes. He's not, everything isn't running through him as much as it has in the past. And he's pacing himself a little bit more. But to Shannon's point, still giving you 26, 8, and 8. Those numbers are hard to beat. And when you couple it with the winning, that's the thing. A lot of guys this year, the best player, like I thought Luka was my preseason prediction. They're not winning. Jokic, they're not winning enough in Denver. Milwaukee's not winning enough. So I think it's LeBron and Embiid and maybe Kawhi. But again, those guys have been bitten by the injury bug a little bit.
Okay, so just for the record, LeBron James is a career 34% 3-point shooter. I want to see him up his 28% in the month of February to 38% for these 9 games. Is that realistic?
We're going to finish at 38 for the season.
Okay.
That's what I do
you
it.
say. Well, I want to see it on this stretch right here.
But also, Skip, you have to understand, as you get older, it takes a lot of energy to drive to the basket, get time after time again, 34, 35 minutes. That's why, as Chris said, Jordan and Kobe developed that. They realized how much it takes out of you getting to the basket, fighting through those guys. So guess what they did? It take a little less energy to shoot that jumper in your eye. Put that three ball in his eye.
What did LeBron say a couple of weeks back? I don't get tired. That's what I heard. I don't get tired.
There you go.
I never heard Jordan say that because he's human.
Yeah,
because
he shot that turnaround jumper, him and Kobe. And that's what we go shoot that three ball in your eyes tonight.
Michael Jordan was still owning and attacking the basket.
No, he was not.
In 1998, he was.
He was
yes,
not.
He
No,
was.
he was not.
I'm sorry, he was.
No.
I was there.
Yeah, he was shooting that turnaround jumper there. He wasn't flying, dunking over Melvin Turpin like he was in the 80s.
No mercy.
With the NBA trade deadline approaching in late March, the Cavs have decided to sit Andre Drummond while they look for a trade partner to send him to. The Pistons have been doing the same with Blake Griffin. Well, that didn't sit well with Draymond Green, and last night Green sounded off about it. Take a listen.
To watch Andre Drummond before the game sit on the sideline, then go to the bat, and then come out in street clothes because a team is going to trade him. Because when James Harden asked for a trade and essentially dogged it, I don't think there was no surprise or there's no one's going to fight back that James was dogging it his last days in Houston. But he was castrated for wanting to go to a different team, and everybody destroyed that man. And yet a team can come out and say, oh, we want to trade a guy, and then that guy is to go sit. And if he doesn't stay professional, then he's a cancer.
Chris, there's a lot there. Does Draymond have a point?
Well, first, let me say, look, I'm all for player empowerment. I love that LeBron James has shown players how to take their career destiny into their own hands. And I think that's going to be part of LeBron's legacy. And I think Draymond made some great points. I think we didn't see it in that clip, but players should not be fined, I don't believe, for making a public trade demand if a team like the Cavaliers or the Detroit Pistons aren't fined for making it public that they're trading a player.
Right.
I also think that, I think that Draymond also talked about loyalty and how players are, the mental strain it puts on them when they're traded. I've had players tell me that because they heard trade rumors, they went to the GM and said, is this true? Do I need to get, I got a family, my kids are in school. Do I need to start getting ready to be traded? And the GM has told them no, just lied directly to their face. And 2 days later, they're traded. So I get where he's coming from in that respect as well. And I think he makes a good point with that. So fans should not expect that type of loyalty from players. Don't get mad at LeBron James when he leaves Cleveland or, Kevin Durant leaves OKC. If you want to criticize him for going to a stacked team, that's one thing. But I don't think it's fair to criticize them for playing out their contract and then leaving when a team trades a guy, there's not the same loyalty expected. So that said, though, I think that Draymond missed a few things, too. One, we're in a society where there are employers and there are employees. And in most cases, the person that writes the check is going to have final say on most decisions. That's just how it goes. Now, there are a few employees that have enough juice that they can kind of buck that trend to some degree, a LeBron James maybe. However, even LeBron, what did LeBron say when he talked about the All-Star game? He doesn't want to go. He said, look, I don't want to play, but
because they lied to him.
I'll be there physically, but not mentally.
Did they not lie to him?
He's going to go because he understands nobody really lives in a vacuum. We all have to answer to people for the most part. Now, the other thing I'll say is this. I think Draymond's missing that this is actually beneficial for Andre Drummond and players in his position. Because the Cavaliers could just bench Drummond and say, look, we're going young, we're going to play Jared Allen, and we're benching him. that would hurt him going into free agency this summer. Because then instead of being viewed as a guy that averages 17 points and 13 rebounds a game, which is, good numbers and gets you a good contract, he could be viewed as a guy who got benched and no longer has it. Or if they play him 15 minutes a night because they want to go young, his numbers plummet, and then in free agency, teams are not looking at you as 17 and 13. They're looking at you as a reserve off the bench who gives them 9 and 5. So it actually benefits Andre Drummond. And from what I'm told, he understands that for him to just sit out and let teams still view him as that borderline all-star big man. So Draymond made some good points, but I think he missed a few things as well.
First of all, everybody views Andre Drummond as being archaic because he doesn't shoot the three, he doesn't shoot the mid-range game, and they say the rebounders are skewed because a lot of times he's chasing rebounds and his guy gets the rebound and lays it back in. So people looking at him as a true five like Joel Embiid, that's not going to happen. And everybody knows that if he were to be sitting on the bench, they know why he's sitting on the bench because they're moving in a younger direction and they choose not to play him. But you can't say you want loyalty from me, yet you give me no loyalty. Hold on. You say the employee, I get all of that. But if I say I want an opportunity to seek for an opportunity like James Harden says, I want to go win. I don't have what it takes here to win. Why you get upset at me? Why the fans get upset? And I think from a fan perspective, the owners have done a great job of convincing the fans that the billionaires are right and the millionaires are wrong. Yeah, you got upset, but LeBron James has never requested a trade. LeBron James fulfilled his obligation, bounced as a free agent. So did KD. But what did they do to AD? Didn't they find AD $50,000 when he voiced he wanted a trade and they signed him? So why did they do that? I thought you tried to win.
Well, my main problem with Harden was there are a few things. One, with the way he handled Houston. One, he didn't look in the mirror. All right, he didn't take responsibility for some of those playoff games where they had a chance to win and get to the finals, and he didn't look in the mirror. Two, I didn't like the way he went at his teammates.
Yes.
Like, he was talking about John Wall and Eric Gordon.
Boogie, yeah.
Like, they were trash. He didn't mention their names, but he was like, I don't have nothing here. And I'm like, they deserved a little bit more respect. And thirdly, we hear all this talk about wanting more black coaches, particularly in NFL, but still, in the NBA too, wanting more black coaches. And then Steven Silas, who paid his dues for 20 years. You didn't even give him the respect to really give it a shot.
Give him a chance.
Look, Harden ended up doing what he had to do to get out of Houston. And I'm not thinking about Houston anymore. I'm glad he's in Brooklyn because it's fun to watch. However, those were the things that bothered me about the way Harden handled it, more so than him wanting out of Houston on his own merit.
Skip, before you go, I want to say one thing. You said that James Harden need to look in the mirror. Detroit need to look in the mirror. Because didn't they trade for Blake Griffin? Cleveland needs to look in the mirror. Didn't they trade for Andre Drummond? They did that, right? So they need to look in the mirror and say, okay, we might need to look at how we evaluate players moving forward and what we think in order of building a championship caliber team. Take it away, Skip.
Okay. I'm with Chris in that I'm all for player empowerment. But if they want real power, they have to negotiate for it. And they ceded all these rights in collective bargaining. They gave all this up. And they do have these things called contracts. You got one, I got one, Chris, everybody's got one. And we have to play by those rules. We cannot just say, I want out. You just can't do it, okay? So I did not condemn James Harden for wanting out of Houston. I don't think I was that hard on him. He pulled it off. AD pulled it off. Blake is pulling it off in Detroit. He just wants out, and they're going to buy him out. I don't know. They're going to try to trade him first, see how that all goes. But the point is, these players have a lot of movement power. They can flex their muscles and do things that a lot of NFL players have not been able to do to date, right?
No.
Okay, so I can't work up a huge amount of pity for Andre Drummond, calling it a travesty how they're treating him, because they're just saying, we moved on with Jared Allen. We're going to try to move you to a better place, that they would hope. It could be with the contender. It could be a salary dump because he makes $28.8 million.
I'm not giving you anything for Andre Jumping Skip, and he's a free agent at the end of the year and can leave.
Well, unless you're the Nets, let's say, and you need that piece, and you say he could get us over the hump.
Right, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know, the Lakers. I don't know. Do the Lakers, could they use Andre?
Yeah.
Yes, they could.
I think that everybody's waiting on the buyout.
Okay, probably waiting on the buyout.
Right.
But if you want to jump to the head of the line,
Right,
you might want to give something.
Give him a second rounder.
Okay, you might. But my point is, so they just said, why would we force him to go sit at the end of the bench in uniform? We'll just tell him, just take the night off. You're in your 9th year.
Ninth year, Skip.
Okay.
Is he 30?
Okay, but you're making they're not saying we're going to cut your salary. They're going to pay him whatever you make per night on $28.8 million. It's pretty good money.
That's great money.
Andre Drummond in 9. What's that, Chris?
He's still getting paid.
No, he's getting paid.
Yeah.
And over his career, he's made $136 million, and he's pretty good. He's led the league in rebounding 4 times. You can discount those stats all you want. But to me, in the end, I don't exactly know what Draymond's ranting about, except if you want more power, next time your deal comes up in collective bargaining, fight for it.
Skip,
sit for it.
Hold on, Chris. You talking about the All-Star game. Now, they said they were going to have 72 games. They wanted to start before Christmas. They wanted to start a couple of days before Christmas. There was not going to be an All-Star game. Is that was not what was said? Yes or no? I just need to know. Was that what was not said? There will be no All-Star game. We're going to give the guys an opportunity, March 5th through the 10th, to take timeouts because we had a fast turnaround. And what did they turn around and do? So you lied.
But Shannon, to Skip's point, they're not doing this without the Players Association agreeing to it.
I understand, but
what the league did is that the players are. If Chris Paul and the association nixed it, I don't know that they'd be having an All-Star game. But what they showed them is, look, we're gonna make a lot more money if we have this All-Star game, and that's gonna trickle down to the players. And so that's why they're doing it.
But the thing is, so you can't have it both ways. We're concerned with COVID, but we're going to put all our greatest basketball players in one central location at one time, and we're just going to pray and hope for the best.
It's called capitalism. That's what we are.
Okay? I understand how it works.
I'm shocked LeBron didn't have more juice. I thought he had that kind of juice to say, no,
I can assure you they did not confer with LeBron before they made this decision because they already knew what he was going to say. So it's best to apologize and ask for permission.
Okay, but to his credit, he said, I don't like it, but I'll be there.
Yeah, okay. LeBron is always going to do what's in the best interest of the. He's going to take one for the team. Because they're ready, like you heard what he said, and then Giannis came out and said the same thing, and you heard Kawhi, but LeBron going to jump on a private jet that the NBA is providing, and he will take his butt on down that ladder.
By the way, if anybody needs a full week off, he does. He's played every game.
Hey, LeBron, let your boy ride down there with you. You know I got a crib down there. Let your boy hold on and play with you.
Shannon, you got work here. You can't leave it. It doesn't work that way. Sorry. Well, actually, you could do the show maybe remote.
No mercy.
All right, guys, listen up. LeBron James almost made the jump to the NFL in 2011. The NBA went into a lockout after his loss in the finals to the Mavericks, and LeBron said he was invited to try out for the Cowboys and Seahawks. He was also confident that he had what it takes despite not playing since his junior year of high school, saying, quote, I would have made the team. I would have tried out, but I would have made the team. So, Shannon, do you agree he would have made the team here?
I love LeBron. Everybody knows that. But I don't believe LeBron James would have made the professional football team. Not after being away from the game for 10 years. There's more. LeBron James is one of the greatest athletes that we've ever seen. But there's more to just being a great athlete than playing a professional sport. And people need to stop this notion because guys are great at one sport, they can just automatically cross over. Ask Ed Too Tall Jones, Skip. You were there. A guy we had never heard of. But he did that full time. Too Tall Jones, like, you know what? I got a problem with Cowboys. Y'all don't want to do right with me. Y'all want to give me my money. I'm going to go box. And guess what he ended up coming back doing, Skip? Playing football because boxing was a lot harder than he thought. I know we get it, Skip. One of my good friends, Deion Sanders, Time, and he and I talk. But he was able to play football and baseball, because he played baseball in high school, he played baseball in college, and he continued that. He didn't set the sport down for a decade and then tried to pick it back up at the highest level. There are more to it than just being great at being great in a particular sport. There are nuances to a particular sport. It's about route running. I've never seen a 6'8" guy. Harold Carmichael was the tallest guy, wide receiver, Skip, to play. And I'm assuming that's what LeBron is going to play. He's going to play wide receiver. But there are nuances to understanding where the coverage is and where the blind spots are. We call them spidey senses. LeBron James doesn't have spidey senses anymore because he hasn't used those senses in a very long time. They say, Skip, if you blindfold a man for an extended period of time, he'll go blind because the light doesn't hit his eyes. Well, if you don't play a particular sport and then try to get back out there and do it, your senses, the awareness, where that shot coming from, this coverage, cover 6, cover 2, cover 5, boom, boom. No, I don't believe it. It sounds good. It is great to talk about. But even at LeBron James' supremely gifted, talented level, for him to say, I'm going to go play in the NFL. Having not played college ball, Skip, we've seen a lot of great high school players not make it in college. We've seen a lot of great college players not make it to the NFL. But for a guy that has set the sport down for a decade and just go pick it back up and play at the highest level, I don't believe that would have happened. I do not believe that would have happened.
Okay, all he said is, I would have made the team if I had focused on
At what position?
At wide receiver.
And that's no, I don't believe that.
Okay, I would have been with you until yesterday. And after I read The Athletic's piece on this, which had deep, excellent background into just how great he was as a freshman, sophomore, and junior in high school, I was not aware of it.
High school.
Okay, I got it. And he played for bad teams, so I got this. But the point is, I now believe that at age 26, that had been about 10 years ago, if he'd gone all in for football, which is a huge hypothetical, which would not have happened, he'd have to say, I'm all in. I'm going to do this. And it was during that strike year.
Right.
But you'd have to go full force into it. Again, Jerry Jones invited him, and he said, yeah, I got invited, but if I stepped on that field, I was going to make the team. Well, yeah, you would make the team if you would actually play through the football year, because you know that Jerry Jones would miss that marquee, that box office.
Yeah,
I got LeBron James at wide receiver.
Right.
Who's not watching that?
Right. But that's the thing, though, Skip. I'm not talking about out of the marketing ploy. Skip, LeBron James has never got our press coverage.
Okay, I got it. I understand all that. But what I didn't understand, and I'm going to defend LeBron and you're not, is that it started his freshman year when, like 2/3 of the way through, they finally said, we got to put him on varsity. And the first night he had a chance was when his friend Maverick Carter, who's now the brains of the operation, Maverick was ahead of him at receiver because I think he was 2 years ahead of him in school, okay? He was sick one night, and they just threw this freshman into the game. He's 14 years of age at this point, and he goes for over 100 yards on 9 catches, and they were down 15-0. They got all the way back to 15-14. They lost, but it was because of LeBron that they even had a chance in the game. And then Gloria fought him every step of the way, to her credit, saying, no, you can't play football. It's stupid to play football. You're going to get hurt, as you know. So she fought him. Don't go back your sophomore year. And he goes back and he put up huge numbers his sophomore year and made All-State in Ohio. He was All-State. LeBron James.
Yes.
His junior year, she fought him tooth and nail. You cannot subject, because by then he's about to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated as the chosen one, right? And he goes back, and he was so good that he started getting letters from everywhere. And then he got offers from all the major powers, including Urban Meyer, who LeBron remembers was the receiver coach at that point at Notre Dame. They all wanted LeBron James. And all the power schools, everybody, he said pretty much everybody, Florida State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Florida, South Carolina, he just went down. All of them offered him as a junior to play college football at, obviously, the highest level. So my point is, I always thought of him as more of a tight end type at 6'9", 260 now. What would he been? He's probably that.
Oh, he's probably been bigger than that because he had to lift weights. So he'd probably been 270.
Okay.
They probably moved his butt to tackle.
No, they wouldn't have moved him to tackle because, hey, at 6'9", 260, what could he run the 40 in? Realistically, could he run 4.5? Maybe.
Skip,
Some nights I'll watch him running up down the court. I think he can fly.
Skip, that's a big target.
Okay, it's a huge target, but I thought of him as a tight end, but he says, no, I'm a wideout.
But Skip, what you're saying, you're putting it in context. He continues to play. He set the sport down for a decade.
The hypothetical here is that he'd go all in to try to figure out football at that point. Jerry's going to keep him on the rod. He just said, I'd make the team. Right. Yes, you would have made the team. If, in fact, you'd be available to play the football games, you would have. I don't know about his toughness factor. I don't know about could he have taken the shots that you took on a Sunday daily basis. It's hard, man. You got to have a loose screw. Seriously. You got to have one loose screw to do what you did.
You ain't all the way there, you play football.
You're not all the way there because it's not fun, man.
No.
And it gets progressively harder and worse. And he would be a big literal target for the defense as well as the offense.
Skip, and remember now, he's going out there as LeBron James. So, in other words, the guys are looking like, hold on, this dude plays NBA basketball, and he thinks he can come out here in football. So what you think they going to do? It's just like when you go out there, some guys like, oh, man, I can play in the NBA, I can play in the NBA.
But sometimes when you're a wide out, XY, where you flank out.
Yes.
You're out of, you get out of harm's way. You can sort of stay because you're being covered by a DB who's like with LeBron be about half your size.
Right.
Would you try to put a safety on him to have somebody a little bigger?
He's a big target, Skip. I'm gonna get up in him.
Okay.
I'm gonna press him because I know he's gonna try to jump up. I know he's gonna try to jump up over me.
He's gonna try to jump up, and he said in his sophomore year he perfected the one-handed catch. He loved Peter Warwick at Florida State.
Oh, yeah.
And he loved trying to catch the ball one-handed. Okay.
But Skip, here's the thing, is that when you come into a situation in the NFL, the first thing, especially if you come with credentials, your first-round pick, or you won the Bucs, or you won the Bolitnikoff, or you won some prestigious award, the guys automatically say, I need to see why you won that award.
That is correct.
Okay, you coming out here, you LeBron James. Bro, you think you going to set this aside? You going to sit down 10 years, ain't come, and you going to come back out here? Skip, I got to see.
Okay,
the guys gonna see.
I understand you got to see, but at least he did it at a pretty high school level for 3 years. Freshman,
sophomore. Barnes played football. There are a lot of guys that played, I think probably early. I don't know if they were as good as LeBron. A lot of NFL players played basketball.
Sure.
But Skip, Skip, you're talking about the best of the best. There's only a handful of guys, there's less than 1% that have done what we do.
I would have watched it.
Yeah, I know you would have. No, you would have watched it. Somebody try to.
I would not.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah,
if he's playing for my Dallas Cowboys, I'd say, go, Bron, go.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. You got you a new team until LeBron left, and then you went back to the Cowboys.
That was Terrell Owens.
See?
That guy I couldn't stomach, but LeBron, I love LeBron.
No.
He'd be the king.
I can't
the king of pro football.
I don't know about that, Skip. I think LeBron is great.
For LeBron.
But dropping something off after a decade.
Last quick point, that Cowboy team went 8-8 with Romo throwing to Dez and Witten and Miles Austin.
Yeah.
LeBron could have found a little spot in the rotation. Come on. Romo throwing him jump balls.
Okay, something to think about. Shannon, I know you were a track star, but were you a good basketball player?
Yeah. No, shake your head. No. Purvis Ellison beat me out one year for Area Player of the Year. You ever heard of Purvis Ellison?
Yeah.
Yeah, I finished second to him.
Okay,
then. I'm going to break it down, put some speck on those Shea name. Go down South Georgia and ask about Shea Sharpe. They know.
Well, then the next year when he was a freshman at Louisville then, right?
Yeah.
He won the most valuable, what are they called? The
most outstanding.
Most outstanding.
Yeah. They beat Duke in 86,
I was there. I was Dallas.
Good. Well, either way, LeBron, he made the right choice, guys.
He made the right choice.
He's doing just fine.
Because I couldn't, bro, I ain't going to lie to you. I couldn't root for you play the Cowboy.
Yeah, that would be hard for you. That would be interesting for all of us. All right, enough of that.
No mercy.
Some news on the J.J. Watt front this morning. According to a report from Cleveland.com, Watt is seriously considering the Browns because they have what he wants, a title-contending roster and plenty of cap space. Shannon, are you surprised?
I think the most important thing is the last thing that Jenny mentioned, Skip, the cap space.
Yep.
Because I think there are better teams that are probably more situated, that are more suited to probably get him to where he wants to be. But I guess playing alongside Myles Garrett, but would do well. I mean, offensively, they can run the football with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Baker seems to be on the come.
Yep.
Defensively, hey, I can see that, Skip, but I'm surprised the Browns because historically the Browns haven't been a great free agent destination, unless they overpay. You know, they did a great job of drafting Myles Garrett. But normally teams are not just like, man, yeah, free agency, yeah, I want to go to Cleveland. But it just goes to show you what he saw last year, that he believes that this team has a chance to be special. I was thinking maybe go pair up beside his brother, but maybe he thinks offensively they're a little, defensively, yeah, they're good. But offensively, they're not where they need to be. Green Bay, you thought Green Bay, Skip, Wisconsin.
Home state.
Home state. Aaron Rodgers defensively. So I'm surprised that he's looking at Cleveland as opposed to some of these other teams that I think, but also, Skip, fit 3-4, or because J.J. Watt is a 5 technique, which is a 3-4 defense. So that's going to be very important to him as opposed to being bumped outside and playing on a 43 defensive end. Okay,
so to your first point, money talks. In the end, it's just all about
they say money talks, but cash screams.
Yeah.
And he wants lots of it.
Screaming, they got lots of it there. They also have a couple of free agents in that defensive line. Ogunjobi is one, and Olivier Vernon's another one. So they're going to have to figure all that out.
Yeah, one of them, somebody gone.
Somebody is gone.
Both of them might be going if they get JJ, Skip.
Okay, I agree. Okay, why not? Why wouldn't he jump on the opportunity to go to Pittsburgh? Maybe he doesn't want to play in his brother's shadow. Maybe it's like because he.
It sounds good at the time. Yeah. Everybody like, I'm playing my brother, playing my brother. No, you don't.
But he's a star now, and you're a fading star.
Right.
I don't care what you say. You've been too beat up for too long.
I agree.
And yet, I did tell you your favorite website, Pro Football Focus, dropped him slowly but surely over the last 4 years, but only to 21st best defensive player last year. Well, he used to be 1 or 2.
Yes.
So, okay. But still, 21st in the league is pretty good.
Yeah, he didn't fall off a cliff.
Okay, so he still has enough left to give in a good rotation. Well, he'd be playing alongside of a guy who's pretty great, Myles Garrett, right?
So let me ask you a question, Skip. I mean, he gave you 5 sacks in 16 games last year.
Yeah.
What's your expectations this year?
5 or 6, somewhere in there. But I was pleasantly surprised that he sees the Cleveland Browns as a real deal contender.
Right.
I do too. I kept telling you over the back half of the year, last 10 games, Baker Mayfield very quietly, which is not his way, but he very quietly came of age. He arrived. He played high-level quarterback for 10 straight games. I loved the way he played. He finally had something solid around him that he could trust. He had a coordinator and a play caller and a head coach he could trust who tried to do it the right way and in a way that you could depend on from week to week. And they do run the football, as you know, from it's from the Kubiak school of thinking because he was kind of raised by Kubiak.
Yep.
Okay, so he said maybe he's sort of buying into all those progressive Baker commercials like he's saying, hey, this kid's pretty cool. He's pretty hot.
You know, and the thing is that he's playing alongside Myles Garrett because for the longest time he didn't have, I mean, he had some of his best years when he had Jadeveon Clowney.
He did.
So now you got another guy that's going to get some of the attention, a lot more of the attention that you're going to get. So maybe he gets some more one-on-ones and that total gets up to maybe 8.
Maybe.
Can he get 8 sacks?
He might be able to if he's just rejuvenated, change the scenery. Listen, that Houston, that's a mentally, psychologically debilitating place to play. Over the last 4 years, it's just gone down into a sinkhole.
Skip, think about this. Of their great players, none of them are going to officially retire. You look at Andre Johnson. He's one of the 5 best players. You look at J.J. Watt, one of the 5 best players. You look at D-Hop, one of the 5 best players. You look at Deshaun Watson.
Nobody's going to retire there. Something's really wrong. And it starts at the top with the McNair family. It has been going the wrong direction.
And I think we all thought J.J. Watt ain't going nowhere. J.J. Watt's going to be a Texan until perpetuity, until he says, hey, you know, I'm taking my cowboy boots and my hats and I'm going to the saloon. He was going to be a Texan. He's like, nah, I'm good.
He's good. And remember, they let him go.
Yes.
Right? And I'm sure they shopped him and couldn't get any takers. So they just said, okay, you can go.
Maybe the asking price was too high. But, Skip, because for the market to be as good as it is for him right now, it's hard to say somebody wouldn't give up at least a 4th-round pick for him.
Yep. I think he's smelling Super Bowl in Cleveland next couple of years. Okay? I'll ride that train.
But are you surprised that Cleveland's at the front of the list? If what the reports that we're hearing are true?
Sure.
I am too.
Shocked because it was never a free agent destination.
Ain't nobody said, man, I can't wait to get to Cleveland.
No.
It was sport. Have they ever said, man, Cleveland, baseball, basketball. LeBron, even Go James couldn't lose free agents.
Could not. Agreed.
No mercy.
Tom Brady retweeted a TB12 promo video boasting the success of the brand's methodology. He captioned it with, quote, "We are just over here staying pliable and winning Super Bowls. You're welcome to join at any time." Shannon, what is he saying here?
Well, he said his training methods work. You know, I won 7 Super Bowls doing it this way. And Skip, and I believe it does work for him. But you can't train an offensive and defensive lineman like you train a quarterback. Skip, it'd be foolish. Quarterbacks don't really do a whole lot of lifting heavy weights with their shoulders and things. So while that band and that tubing might work for Tom Brady, it's hard for me to see in that. Gronk tried it and got broken up. So I don't believe that's the correct way to train for a lot of positions. Now, for a quarterback, you might want to give that a look. But for other positions that bang regularly, frequently, nah, don't you go out there and talk about some pliability. You're going to get your butt broke up.
So I hear what you're saying, but to me, this was more of an ad posted on the NFL free agent message board that said, "Come on down. We got the sun. We got the surf. We got Super Bowls. Join me in Tampa Bay." Because he's going to turn into the greatest recruiter in the history of this league over the next couple of years. He just pulled off something no one had ever pulled off, which was to assemble on the fly a super team. He brought in Gronk on the fly, AB on the fly, you know, Fournette, LaShawn McCoy, and they pulled it off. They came together. He brought them to a boil right on schedule. It was probably a year earlier than it should have happened, but it worked. And now they could have some cap issues, obviously, with Chris Godwin starting and then over to Shaq Barrett. But if somebody has to go, somebody's going to move in at a much cheaper rate. So if any free agent, any elder statesman free agent wants to go for a great ride in the sunshine with the GOAT, that he's just saying, I'm open for business here.
But you see, Skip, all that tubing, that banding, Skip, that work for a quarterback.
Okay.
Man, you ain't telling no offensive lineman to go out there and try to do that, no defensive lineman, no running back. Man, you gonna get your butt broken up.
Okay, but he's trying to sell his brand, which is pliability.
But Skip,
he's trying to teach the fact that for everybody who doesn't play defensive end.
Well, if you want to do this, Skip, if this want to be your yoga or Pilates.
Okay. But this is for civilians. He's advertising.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Skip, for me, is that I'm going to need to see some other athletes. If you let's take Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps, coach, he had him for all his life. But if he didn't work with other athletes and then get Katie Ledecky and get some of these other ones to win gold medals, I'm going to hold on. That might be just Michael Phelps doing that. But because he's trained other gold medals. So until Guerrero works with someone other than Tom Brady and we see that level of success, is it just Tom or is it really working?
Age
or
40,
or it just works for Tom.
43 years old.
Yes.
He played all 16.
Yes.
There's never even a threat that he was going to miss a game that I know of.
Skip, but you got to get somebody else. It's got to do that on someone else. Skip, medicine, there's a reason why they do trials. They just don't say give it to one person and say, okay, it works.
Okay, I got it. But Alex Guerrero is full-time with Tom Brady, so I don't think he's going to branch out and be training anybody else.
Well, but that's the thing, though, Skip. So how did, I get it. So, who's he gonna put this to the test to? Even online coaches, Skip, you got to work with me somehow.
Yeah, I'll bet you a lot of people are buying the TB12 method. And they're not football players.
And hopes to be like Tom Brady?
Sure. Lasting as long as he lasted in his profession.
And what?
Huh?
Skip, if I'm sitting at a desk, why do I need to be pliable?
Well, helps with
got to be able to move your pencil, right?
Yeah. Have you tried it, Skip?
No.
No, exactly.
No.
Skip lifting weights.
Lifting.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You up there high pliability, but you in the gym lifting dumbbells and barbells.
I am.
It always, to me, looks like he's just getting a massage and working through. That sounds great to me. I get
the lengthening of the muscles and all that, Skip Bayless, but you got to,
No mercy.
The Nets were able to get a win over the Kings, 136-125, despite no Kevin Durant last night. Meanwhile, the Clippers also pulled out a 125-118 win over Miami with no Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Nicholas Batum, or Patrick Beverley. So, Shannon, who had the better win last night, the Nets with no KD or the Clippers with 4 starters out?
The Clippers. Because even though you had no KD, Skip, you still got two guys that can go get you 40 at a given night. James Harden was plus 33. He had 29-point triple-double. Kyrie dropped 40. So you still got two of the top, probably what, 10 players in the NBA, 10, 11 players in the NBA on one roster. But you're down 4 starters.
Yeah.
And you still beat a team at full strength, considering that team went to the NBA Finals last year. That was extremely impressive. That might be the most impressive win that any team has had this year.
I would agree. Remember, you had 2 all-time great players at Sacramento with hot hands. Both of them hot hands, just crazy shooting threes. I did love it that James Harden had 13 rebounds and 14 assists.
Yeah.
That is hard to do for a 6'5" point guard, but he did it.
He did it.
Now to my Clippers. This is the deepest team in professional basketball, and they showed you last night. Marcus Morris is a star. I don't care what you say. Look at the numbers he put up against the defending Eastern Conference champs. With Jimmy Butler going triple-double, 30, 10, and 10. Marcus Morris goes 32 points. How about your man Big Zoo that the Lakers gave to the Clippers? And he puts up 22 and 8. That was huge coming off the bench. And guess what? Lou Williams has a little touch of sweetness to him here lately. He's starting to look like the old Lou instead of just an old Lou Williams.
They played well. I mean, they got at least 33 points in 3 of the 4 quarters, Skip. I didn't expect that. I was like, I saw Kawhi not playing. No Paul George wasn't going to play. Nick Batum scratch late scratch with a migraine.
No Pat Bev?
Oh, yeah. I said, Miami got this one. Miami ain't got this.
Guess what? The Clippers got this. When they get back to full strength, you are in trouble.
Well, you're
in trouble.
Let us get
just too deep and too good.
Let us get back to full strength.
Yeah.
Y'all was at full strength last year. Y'all was deep last year.
What's LeBron's line? You're top heavy as you know what.
Yeah. But don't worry about that. We got some help is on the way.
Clippers thing is going to heat up for us. That is it for today. Undisputed is back at the same time tomorrow morning. The herd is on right now. Have a good day, guys.